Instagram is 10 years old. We're going to run through how it has changed our life. Also, Instagram is adding shopping support to IGTV and has planned to release it soon to its real feature. YouTube is planning or aiming to becoming a online shopping destination for its user, and a new video streaming competitor is launching in Spain. Plus, we're going to discuss how the holiday season 2020 has changed due to COVID. All of these and more in the second episode of Not Your Marketer podcast. Stick around. Hey, I'm Not Your Marketer, Alberto Lempira, aka Lempy. Welcome to the second episode of the Not Your Marketer podcast. First of all, I wanted to thank you for the overwhelming support on the first episode. I have received many feedback and comments about the first episode, the content, and the podcast. I'm happy that you have liked it, and I'm working on making it better in each episode. So thank again for joining. So today we have a lot to talk about, and without any further ado, let's jump into the headlines. So Instagram turns 10 years old. Okay, so this week on October 6th, Instagram turned 10 years old. It was originally launched by Kevin Systrom and Mike Krieger. This app was originally it was launched as a location sharing app. I don't know if you remember Foursquare, but one of the additional features, aside from sharing your location, was that you could add a picture just to make a little bit more sense of, where are you right now, and so forth. So after some feedback, they relaunched the app because the best performing, or the thing that users loved the most, was the ability to share some pictures. Okay, so they relaunched it. It was an iPhone exclusive app right until 2012, and it was, very successful. Then it was acquired by Facebook, and they launched right before being acquired by Facebook, they launched an Android app. So let's go through some of the milestones of this decade of Instagram and how it has changed. There are many competitors like or players like Amazon or Facebook that have changed how we use the internet and have redefined how users interact with content and how they interact with other users. Instagram is one of those. So let's just run through some milestones of Instagram. So first off, they were launched, as I mentioned, on October 2010, and they hit the 1 million users milestone on December that same year, which is huge. I don't know how many of you have been involved in launching a new app, but this is a huge milestone. And if you think about 2010, the apps market was still in its earliest years. It was way more difficult to get apps installed into the users' cell phones or smartphones. Okay, so on January 2011, they added the hashtag features. So this was one of the first steps into bringing and making hashtags something that is no longer exclusive to one platform. In that case, I don't know, Twitter, for example, which obviously was one of the first to leveraging on the power of hashtags with trending topics and so forth. But it helped it to become a part of the pop culture of the new generations. On April 3rd, 2011, the Android app was launched, and it got over 1 million downloads the same day it was launched. So again, this is just an example of how making your product or service scarce can help you whenever you open the doors or the gates into a new flow of or a new market or a new flow of users, okay, that are willing to use it. On April 9th, the same year, 2011, Facebook acquired Instagram for $1 billion, and it has become one of the best plays of the blue giant because it secured its future as people and users, especially younger generations, were getting out of Facebook. Okay, obviously after that, the strategy behind Instagram has changed. As a matter of fact, in December 2012, they updated the terms and conditions, so Instagram started to own your photos, and they could sell it to third parties without any compensation or even notifying the user. So everybody was talking, and I remember back in the day, everybody was afraid of a royalty-free kind of service or business that they were leveraging on that. But Facebook had very different plans on that. Obviously, they were thinking and aiming into the advertisement platform they were going to launch after a few years. So in June 2013, they added the support for sharing videos. So this opened a new possibility for users to engage with, well, a different kind of content. On November 2013, they launched ads, sponsored ads, just in the US, but this was at the moment a great opportunity for advertisers to target a very specific crowd in a very novel platform. And by the day, they had only roughly 170 million users, which is a lot. But if you think about how many of those were inside the US, maybe it was not so much. And if you compare that with what Facebook had already, obviously it was, I mean, it was like a baby. Obviously, Facebook knew we were going to be growing, and I don't know if they had that in plan, but it became one of the key instruments of their advertisement business. So after that, on December 2013, the same year, they launched the Instagram Direct, which was the messaging platform inside Instagram. This week, they announced that they were merging Facebook Messenger and Instagram Messenger. Obviously, WhatsApp is going to be following because they own the three of them. What they want to have is, or give the user a seamless experience throughout these three platforms. After that, on August 2014, they became more business friendly, launching business accounts that allowed companies and brands to have access to metrics and more insights and more details about how the users were engaging with their content, which was the setting stone for what have become one of the key instruments for business, I mean, large and small, into engaging and identifying what kind of content and what kind of strategy is working for them. After that, in June 2015, they improved the Instagram ads experience, adding call to actions. So now you could add install now, install app, shop now, view more, book, whatever call to action that it was related to the product you were advertising. So this was again just they were improving an already successful experiment, which was Instagram ads, into making it more appealing for advertisers to come over and to improve also the conversion rate of those ads served to Instagram users. After that, in 2015, I mean, that marks the year where Instagram ads went global. So they became available across the world. On November the same year, 2015, the switching between multiple accounts became a new feature in the Instagram ads. This was very useful, especially for community managers and people that were in charge of brands accounts. And this is the point where Facebook figured out that they had a lot of personal users that were also using their platform to promote or to engage with customers of their own brands, or we're just managing companies' brands. Okay, so again, this was huge for us marketers. As a matter of fact, so March 2016 marked a very controversy moment for Facebook, for Instagram, for that matter, because chronological feed were no longer available. So they relied in an algorithm feed that makes some. I mean, it made some news because you could see a post from one of your friends from 3 years ago, 3 days ago, 4 days ago, because it was no longer chronological. Okay, so the thing here is that if you were like me and you saw a post of someone celebrating their birthday and you commented on it, hey, happy birthday, have a great day, whatever, and then you figured out and you saw the date and you saw that it was posted 3 days ago. Obviously, Instagram was not reliable for people who tend to forget birthday from friends and family. But nevertheless, especially when things were happening at the moment, a lot of accounts were starting to use Instagram to share news. This became problematic, and as with any algorithm, it kept improving across time. So now I think right now we are at a point where the algorithm is intelligent enough, is smart enough to identify what kind of information, what kind of content is relevant at the moment, and what kind of which kind of content is not. Okay, so moving forward, on May 2016, they changed the look of Instagram, ditching the old Polaroid like camera icon with the new one, which just as a reminder, you can go back to that icon if you want the vintage icon of Instagram by going to the settings. I'm going to leave how can you do it that just for this month as the anniversary month for Instagram in the show notes. On August 2016, they introduced Instagram Stories. So this was a takeaway, or Instagram take, sorry, about Snapchat features. Okay, so a lot of I don't know if it was resistant to change, but at the end of the day, it served the purpose. I mean, Instagram took over what the ephemeral part of the content that Snapchat was leveraging on, okay, and has proven to be very successful for them. So on November 2016, they launched the live streaming feature, which was like, I mean, at the beginning, it was interesting because it was only available for 24 hours. After they introduced on June 2018 IGTV, now you are able to store your live streaming as an IGTV post. But for 2 years, almost 2 years, all the live streaming was ephemeral. So once again, they were trying to leverage on one of the features that were responsible for the success of a platform like Snapchat. And well, moving forward, right until July 2020, and they launched Reels, which was Instagram take on TikTok's feature. So what will the future hold to Instagram? I mean, obviously, Instagram has demonstrated that it's capable of adapting to new times to keep adding feature, even if they're copycatting some other companies or some other platforms. They manage to leverage on the amount of users that they have, their community, which is very engaged with a very friendly app. And I think they have, I don't know if they have succeeded, but they have proved that they can keep up with the change. So what will happen in maybe 10 years from now, we are not going to be talking about Instagram anymore. Or maybe we are. Maybe Instagram is going to shift into something new, because this brings us to the second headline for today's episode, and it has to do with Instagram adding the shopping capabilities or features into IGTV. They are adding that into IGTV, and they plan to release it also on Reels. very soon. And this is the bet of Instagram into going in after the social commerce market. Okay, so this is something that some Asian platforms like Redbook has nailed, in China for that matter, where videos have become the perfect vehicle for selling products, especially when they manage to link brands with influencers and a huge community inside one platform. I mean, it has been demonstrated that that works very well. They want to focus on social video shopping as a great way to connect with customers. I don't know if I mean imagine if this is the comeback of infomercials. I mean, if you are watching a video and instead of saying call now because we have limited quantities, you just have to swipe up or you just have to click on the link in the video description in the live streaming or whatever. That would be really well interesting at least. So according to eMarketer, China's social commerce industry will surpass 240 billion US dollars in 2020. In comparison, the U.S. social commerce market size accounts for 23 billion. So obviously, a huge opportunity in the U.S. and probably one of the things that Facebook wants to do is to take over or take advantage of being the first there, instead of an Asian competitor like I don't know, like TikTok, right? So some other data that is interesting from eMarketer, you will have the link to the article in the show notes, is that 18% of people surveyed in the US have purchased something from social media on Facebook. I mean, from this is 18% of social media users, 11% on Instagram, and 1.4% on TikTok. So we have a lot. I mean, we have a long road here ahead of us. But I think this just poses how huge of an opportunity we have as marketers to leverage on that unexploited market. So keep an eye on Pinterest AR shopping capabilities, because that could make huge news in the near future, and also TikTok's partnership with Walmart to become maybe a household online retailer in the US. So just to keep talking about online shopping, let's move to the third headline today, which is YouTube is betting on becoming a destination for online shopping. So what they want to do, they have been testing an integration with Shopify with select channels. Creators will have control onto what products are going to be shown to their audience. And what they want to do is, I mean, they want to compete with main players like Amazon and Alibaba. They want to leverage on the amount of users they have coming into the platform every day, just to exploit that video commerce that is not being exploited. Google, I mean, is one of the tech giants that have missed the e-commerce revolution COVID has ignited. So probably this is going to be the response to it, okay? So it's not a coincidence that Facebook and Google are figuring out how to grasp onto this novel. I mean, what in the Western hemisphere at least will be a novelty into going through video commerce, okay? So let's keep an eye on that, because that could pose huge opportunities for marketers and brands to connect with customers. And last but not least, the last headline for today's episode is about a video streaming platform, PlutoTV, which is launching in Spain this fall. Actually, it's going to launch, I think, in the third week of October. So this is, I don't know if you know it, but this is a video on demand platform that is owned by Viacom CBS. It's an American company. It's adding another European country. Actually, they serve right now. They serve to the U.S., some countries in Latin America, Canada, the U.K., and a few countries in Europe. Here in Spain, they're partnering with Movistar Plus to take care of the advertising aspect of their business. They will have local productions as well as international ones. And one of the things is that maybe this could be a shake to the video streaming market here in Spain, which is fairly young if you compare it with Latin America or, of course, the U.S. market. Even in comparison with some other European markets. But obviously, I mean, this is going to be a service that is going to be free to use because it's ad supported. And I don't know, this could be interesting into how the video streaming field gets shift here in Spain. So, with all these headlines, let's move into today's top story. Today's top story has to do with holiday season 2020. Okay, so we know COVID has impacted businesses across the world. It has impacted how people live their life in many places. It has impacted even how people think about spending money and saving money. But looking into the imminent future, as marketers, this raises a question. I mean, how is this situation going to impact the 2020 holiday season, if it will at all? So let's talk about, or let's run through some considerations and some things that we have to keep in mind. So a lot of people are going to be subject to stay-at-home orders. Okay, so in many different, I mean, in Europe, in the U.S., in different cities, in different states, you have restrictions for citizens to get out of their homes, and recommendations to stay in home to reduce the amount of people they gather with, and this could put the ROPO effect to the max. The ROPO effect, research online, purchase offline. Maybe we are going to see a switch, a change into how this effect will showcase the strength of the e-commerce, or the strength of businesses that has their e-commerce up to date. So this, when mixed with the fact that some stores may be closed because of the same restrictions, poses a risk, not a risk, but poses some questions regarding product availability and stock brokerage. Because what happens if you are not able to have the product available for your customers? What happens if you don't have enough stock for fulfilling all your orders? So this has a lot of impact on logistics, not only on shipping timings, but also on temporary hires. I mean, UPS, FedEx, and many other logistic companies across the world has announced that they are going to hire temporary employees for fulfilling and to being able to fulfill with all the orders for the holiday seasons. But one thing that you have to keep in mind, I mean, the supply chain response has to keep up with the demand. And some of the things that some companies are even expecting is that the shopping season is going to start early. Kantar predicts that a lot of people are going to start their holiday shopping early this year. And that brings another question to the table, which is, sales offers and promotions, should we move them, bring them earlier also? It would all depends on how your business is going to be moving, okay? But nevertheless, also we are going to be dealing with what Cantor named as regionality issues, okay? So we will have a lot of people that are not going to be moving across countries or even moving across cities because of some restrictions, or maybe even if there are not restrictions, just by following recommendations, because some people are afraid about the virus. And this will impact many key holiday and pre-holiday events that for marketers are very important, especially on the Western Hemisphere, like Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Thanksgiving in the US, Christmas, New Year's Eve. And it has to do a lot with also how the air traffic is going to be changing, availability of tickets, and how the borders closures deal. I mean, if you look at the amount of countries that are allowed into, I don't know, into the European Union, or into the in and out of the US, or in and out of specific markets, it makes it very difficult to understand or to predict, at least, how the external, and not necessarily from tourism, because if you think about internal traffic in the US, or even inside the Schengen zone here in Europe, you have people that is not, I mean, maybe they are from Germany, but they live in France, or and they go back to Germany to spend holidays with their loved ones. Maybe this year they will not do that, and this is going to impact also some traditions and customs from people. Okay, so again, another thing that we have to think about is how have the budget changed. A lot of, I mean, we know that this situation has impacted a lot of families economically. Many people lost their jobs. Some of them have reduced their incomes, and we have to keep that in mind. Okay, so it's very hard to predict if it's going to be season, a shopping season that is going to have the revenues impacted directly. But it's a fair question to ask, or thing to keep in mind. I mean, people can be willing to spend less than previous year just because of the uncertainty. Okay, so I just want to highlight some data from Morin Consult. They have a very interesting article on the shopping season of 2020, and they surveyed some people in the US for if they are going to celebrate specific holidays in 2020. So 85% said they were keep going to celebrate Christmas, compared with 79 that were going to celebrate Thanksgiving, only 51 New Year's Eve, 45% New Year's Day, and 42% Halloween. So Halloween, obviously, being the more the more imminent holiday, is more impacted because of things that, because things are very uncertain. Maybe for Christmas things may change, but it's very interesting that for New Year's Day and New Year's Eve, half of the people surveyed are thinking they are not going to have that. Or they are not going to celebrate that as they used to. So just things to keep in mind. Okay, the behavior of the consumer is changing, and is changing at a different pace inside the US and between countries. In some countries, even in Europe, inside the countries, depending on the region, because the different policies impact the way people can do business and how companies can tackle the situation of the COVID. So we have to keep an eye open, and we have to be, I think the best thing to be today, and with this situation, is being creative. Think ahead of time. Keep being ahead of the curve, so that whenever things go south, you can bring some solutions that maybe fit, and to be a workaround for the current situation, which is in some cases may be dreadful, but also there's always an opportunity window. So that brings us to the reflections of today's episode, which, as always, I'm going to leave with you one or two reflections. Please let me know. Send me a voice message on Anchor, or connect with me on any social platforms. Let me know what you think about this. So the first one is, moving toward are we moving toward an even less physical retail experience? So we had companies like Amazon, an online retailer, if you may, that it's planning to move towards the physical experience, having the Amazon Go and so forth. Shopping experience, purchasing or acquiring Whole Foods and all this stuff. So my question is, will younger generations miss something they did not truly experience. I mean, for example, I love going into bookshops, right? Like, I don't know, like Barnes and Nobles, for example. The experience is great. Me personally, I'm more of an audiobook kind of guy than reading the book, but the experience of going into a place that it's very quiet, the smell of coffee being roasted, coffee beans being roasted, and I mean that kind of experience. Even if I'm not, if I was not a common customer there, I was used to that kind of experience. And I think I kind of value that. So, what happens when you have a generation that have been dealing with less and less of a physical experience from the retail point of view? How is this going to impact them? I mean, you cannot miss something that you didn't experience, right? So, and the next one is when we're confronting uncertainty, like the one with the COVID, and what is going to happen on this holiday season this year. What do you think makes the best strategy? I mean, you have been prepared in advance, okay, having a robust digital business strategy in this case to be prepared. I don't know, you can think about companies and especially small, maybe some entrepreneurs and small companies having some getaways like on Etsy, Wallapop here in Spain, Amazon, you name it, or their own website and e-commerce, or not having that, but being able to shift gears rapidly whenever things go south. I don't know, maybe think about Instagram with, I mean, we're going to bet everything on shopping experiences in IGTV, on Reels, etc. Or think about how IKEA managed to prepare and change the traditional way they did business by just igniting the revolution on the e-commerce side of their business. I don't know. What do you think about connect with me or leave me a voice message on Anchor? You can find me on @AlbertoLimpira or @NotYourMarketer on any social media platform. So, on the next episode, I'm going to talk about how brands and company are leveraging on marketing analytics and what the future beholds for marketers when when it poses a different scenario for gathering third-party data. I don't know if you are aware of that, but we are going into a cookie-less future in web browsers. So how are we going to manage not having that third-party data? We're going to rely a lot on first-party data or first-hand data, which is going to be, I mean, it poses an opportunity for business, but it also it poses a risk for the ones gathering the most information, aka tech giants. Okay, so we have to be clear about what the future beholds for us, and also here again, creativity I think is going to be key for being prepared for to tackle all the issues and all the difficulties we may have. Okay, so thank you much for listening and joining me in this second episode. Please feel free to send me your comments, questions on the comment section. If you like it, the episode and you like the podcast, please subscribe and leave a review on your favorite podcast service provider. That helps me a lot to be discovered by new people, for a new potential audience. So that's it for today. See you 2 weeks from now. So Limpy out.